Strike that. We'll answer another question before part 3.
Which is a very appropriate question to follow our last question with, because this one is from Quentin Ballard.
Quentin Tarantino?
No.
I can't believe he watches our YouTube channel.
How do you...
love Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, but not as much as Snatch. Big fan, buddy.
So, to Quentin Ballard, how do you introduce a beeper collar? I have a 2-year-old pointer. She comes when I use it.
Okay, so this one I am a pro at, and I am a pro at a few things, but this one I am outwardly so a pro at, okay? I think this is something that's probably overlooked as far as the actual simplicity to the process, okay? The beepers are loud. They're also in a strange place. So if you have a dog with any amount of apprehension to the world, they're going to show some minor adverse reaction to the first time the beeper goes off, even if it's just like, whoa, what was that? Because it's behind them and it's pretty loud. So our recommendation, and it is a simple one, and then we'll kind of go into the short answer, long answer. Short answer is DT's bumpers or beepers, come with a cap. Put that on. It's going to save your ears, their ears, everybody's ears. If you don't have a cap, use a piece of tape. Duct tape works fantastico. Then turn the beeper on. And like we talk about with everything else, the dog's going to get used to it. Treating them like a normal dog, they're going to become a normal dog, so we don't pay attention to the strange behaviors if there are any. And a lot of dogs are just going to go on about their business as if nothing is happening.
And we actually have a video about beeper conditioning. That's what we're talking about.
Who did we do? Rogue, right?
Rogue. Yeah, and I think we had her kennel up. It's been a while. Rogue is not a puppy anymore. And this was when she was still under a year, I believe, when we did the videos. And we had her kennel up on a dog bed, so she wasn't kind of running around being weirded out during the process. She had to stay on the dog bed. And then the beeper was just going off. And she was just getting used to it.
If you search Standing Stone Beeper Conditioning, the video is titled Beeper Conditioning with the DT Systems Wrap 1450 Upland Bird ... I think it says collar, but that is how you find the video.
Yeah, and then we also have a video of Rogue utilizing the beeper collar in the field after that collar conditioning.
Yep, it's the next one that shows up if you search Standing Stone Beeper Conditioning. Now, the short answer is put it on them. They'll get used to it. That's it. I mean, you leave it on them. They will desensitize to the noise and eventually stop listening to it altogether. On the flip side of that, there are a lot of things that you can actually create that are issues. And it's all more in that situation about how you use it, or you could create a problem. Just like you can create a problem with any type of adverse reaction a dog's having to something. So if the dog is unsure about, we were talking with someone recently about a dog that had come into the kennel that was just a little bit unsure. And we talk about how to, I always describe it as treat them like a normal dog, right? So we don't coddle them. Coddling is a big problem with dogs. I also believe that it is a problem with children, but that's for a different day. But coddling is not ideal. You see the apprehension, you say, oh, it's okay, buddy. That is exactly positive reinforcement to that situation. Dogs being apprehensive, you're saying, oh, it's okay, buddy, which is the exact same thing that we say, oh, good dog, you're doing so good. They feed on it the same and they go, okay, so this apprehension is a good thing. I should be unsure of this, or I should be alarmed by that, or whatever. In the situation where we just ignore it and we allow them to kind of figure it out on their own, they're going to normalize. The other side of it would be, and probably the wrong answer is to, when you see those apprehensions or unsureties, to push them a little bit and say, all right, get over it, something else. And that's going to be, it's not allowing them to process on their time. We want them to process on their time, which can take different amounts for each dog. So,
and lastly, we sometimes will try and redirect their focus to something else that they're confident in doing. So if you've got a dog that's doing an alarm bark at something in the distance because they're not quite sure what it is and they're woofing at it, if you can get their attention and say, hey, I need you to heel now, then dogs can really only focus and think about one thing at a time. So if they're thinking about doing the behavior we've just asked for, which is heeling or sitting or something, they're not thinking about what is that weird thing over there that I should maybe bark at.
And this is something that I'm not overly proud about, but is a real world example where we're attempting to do this and it does work with Aiden. Okay. He hates, I'm going to say hates because it strongly dislikes getting dropped off at daycare. We started daycare.
Just that slight process of
Just
being
the
dropped off.
process. He doesn't like being left, whatever. Once we're gone, he has a grand old time playing with trucks and his friends and watching shows and doing all of the fun stuff that happens at daycare, craft projects and eating snacks and taking naps. Loves it all. But the drop-off process is not ideal. So we use a lot of focus redirection rather than telling him, oh, it's okay, buddy. You know, you're at daycare. You'll be all right. It's okay. No, we just say, hey, let's go ahead and do this. We need to focus on getting your shoes off. And then we need to focus on, usually when we get there, it's shortly after, it's right before breakfast. So we say, where is your chair at the table? Show me that. Oh, okay, cool. And when you pull those little things to pull his mind off of what he's not excited about, then he gets over it a lot easier. He's like, oh, yeah, I know where my chair's at, Dad. Come here. Let me show you. Look at this one. It's red. This is my red chair. And I'll sit down in it. And yep, that's my cup. And I sit next to Bailey. And, all of these little things that make his brain work and not think about that actual apprehension. So when you put the beeper collar on your dog, put the cap over it or the tape over it so that it's quiet, turn it on and walk away and or give them the second to think about it and redirect focus to other things like turn it on. Let's play fetch. Let's do something to pull your focus away from it. And then it needs to just run. It needs to run for a long period of time. Now, getting into the specific problems that can be created. There's one big one. People utilize that beeper as a recall device, even if it's inadvertent.
Yep.
They utilize that beeper as a recall device, and that is not ideal because it's supposed to tell us when they're on point. And if we put a lot of emphasis on them hearing the beeper and coming back to us, I have seen it pull dogs off of point because they've been so conditioned that the beeper means get back.
Yes.
Now, what people do advertently, right?
Inadvertently?
No. When they're doing it on purpose.
Oh.
What would it be?
Advertently.
Okay. So what they're doing there would be
intentionally,
beep, 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 beep. And then they shock the dog if they don't come and then hit the beeper again, essentially using it the same way that we would work through a dog that's distracted and not responding to vibrate. And they condition that the beeper means, they're intentionally conditioning the beeper means recall.
Yeah, because if you don't recall on the beep, here comes the shock.
Yep. So you can avoid the collar by complying to the beep. That's what they're teaching. And then the other option is you go, I can't see Sparky. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, there you are. Now come back. And it happens in the same timing, but not
intentionally.
Not intentionally at this point in time. It's just one of those things that
sequences and the way that you were utilizing it. Timing makes sense for that dog that they're like, oh, that's what this means.
Now, there are times where you're going to say, you're not where you're supposed to be. Get on back here. But be aware of the fact that this can become a problem and pay attention to what you're doing and try not to recall them every single time that you're hitting that locate button and checking on them. Now, not all beeper collars have a locate feature that's controllable with the transmitter like DT Systems collars are. There's some ATA beepers and some other things that aren't, but if you're getting a DT collar, DT Systems beeper collar like we sell on our website, you can hit the locate button on the transmitter and have that audible beep, 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 where the dog's at and find them. So it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. So really great last question for part 2. We will be back.
Oh, wait. Now we're headed to part 3.
Yes, now we are.